Right, let's get this road on the show. If you're wondering what this is come and have a seat, come and get involved. This is Talkaoke. We're just about to start, so it's a really good time to come and sit down. Come and have a seat, come and give us 2 minutes. Let's find out who you are at least. My name's Mikey. What's your name?
I'm Margot.
I'm going to turn you up a little bit, Margot.
I'm Margot.
And
Stephen.
I know we've been through this just now.
Anya.
But that's just the opening formality of Talkaoke. And we're here at V&A, Friday Lates. Radio V&A, I believe this particular Friday Lates is called, which kind of fits in with the whole Talkaoke theme. If you don't know what this is, do come and sit down and find out. It is a kind of pop-up talk show where you can talk about whatever you want, simply by talking into this microphone.
How hard could it be if you just have to speak to the microphone about whatever you want?
It's very easy. It's very easy. There's no rules. Well, there are 2 rules: no singing, no fighting. So the question is, what are we actually gonna get the ball rolling with? Start off with. Anyone got any thoughts, comments, observations? Yep.
Your shirt?
My shirt. Well, I mean, this shirt is specifically designed to
start conversations.
Start conversations, exactly. You got it, and it has. But then again, does it go anywhere? That's the next question. I quite like your shirt actually. Where you get your shirt?
Well, I don't wear mine to get attention. I just actually like the pattern of the shirt.
Yeah.
Well, not really. I think this was just a dumb look, actually.
Yeah. Did you get given it as a Christmas present?
No, I bought it with my own self. I went into a shop with money and I bought it.
It looks a bit like a carpet pattern, but in a nice way, kind of, instead of repeating.
Yeah.
Picture. If you had colouring pencils, I'd colour it in.
Yeah, that could be another activity.
We could jazz it up for you if you want. I can just dig in my bag for some pens.
Yeah.
The offer's there. I don't know. Whatever.
I think it's probably based on the Fibonacci sequence, which is why I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Illuminati. What's the Illuminati sequence?
Illuminati, isn't it?
I don't know what the Illuminati is. I know what Fibonacci is.
What's the Fibonacci sequence?
It's the sequence of numbers where you take the 2 numbers and you add them together to get the next number, and then that makes the next number along. So you get.
Can it be any number?
1 and 2, 3, and then you get 5, whatever it is.
What about 4?
You can't have a 4. It's not in the Fibonacci sequence.
Why not?
So it's a certain numbers make that sequence, whereas some others.
You have to go 1, 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 2 is 5, then it goes up like that and that and that, but it's the number of nature, so that's why you've got 5 fingers and 5 toes, and then it's the distance between everything, so everything's like 5s, 8s.
We don't have 8 fingers and 8 toes, so.
But if we had if we had the next set, if we had fingers upon fingers, there would be 8 fingers.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying, Stephen?
Well, it's more like it's just the number that governs nature. So you've probably got lots of 8s in your body.
Yeah.
So did you ever see that picture of Leonardo da Vinci where he's like that, and it's got all
is
the
that
lines
him?
coming from? I don't know. It's called the something man.
Yeah.
It's not very good.
The one where I can do this like that, and it's kind of like that. Yeah, and he's in a little circle, like he's going to do some kind of circus trick.
It's like 3 arms, so he's got 8 arms.
What's that?
Oh, here we go. I knew
Petrovian. We've got an expert. Come and sit down. Come and get involved in this. You can watch. If you sit over there, you can watch both corridors, and you will have a Vitruvian. Come and sit down. Tell us about it. You seem to know about this. Yeah. Tell us your name first of all.
It's just a Vitruvian man.
Yeah.
He's probably gonna get fired for this. No, I'm joking.
Don't worry. You might get a new job with the People Speak. I think you're more likely to get promoted than fired.
Those numbers are the one that form that amazing shell-like drawing, which is the golden ratio or something.
Right.
Which was repetitive in nature, in patterns from cauliflowers to bees pattern. Everything.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's
So how did they first notice this on a cauliflower, or how did they find out about this?
PhD students were studying it. No, I'm joking.
People who were very into numbers and analysing nature and stuff, I guess.
Are you into numbers and analysing nature?
Not really. I was quite fascinated that there is a sequence of numbers that governs everything.
Does it govern Paisley patterns?
I don't know, maybe.
Possibly.
I don't know what a Paisley pattern is, sorry.
It's basically...
this...
Yeah. We're watching, don't worry, we're all eyes. My job is actually to keep an eye on what's going on.
That's what makes it spiral. So you get a spiral shell, that's the Fibonacci sequence going out in a spiral shell, and you get spiral galaxies, and that's why galaxies spiral out. So it goes from and it goes right down to the double helix of the DNA, and that's run by a Fibonacci sequence. So it goes right down from DNA up to a galaxy. So it's all the numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't...
You know quite a lot for somebody who doesn't know about numbers. You know a lot about numbers. Or this particular sequence. I know a lot about sequence as well.
Yeah? What kind of sequence do you
Just-
know? Yeah.
Basically those.
Are they sewn on in a Fibonacci series?
I wouldn't be able to comment on that. I think there's better experts around this table.
Do you ever think of things in terms of numbers?
Not so much, but I used to have this thing, and I think it's called just... I think I don't know what it is, but you kind of count big objects in the room. Do you do that sometimes? And it has to come out 20.
What do
Do
you
that?
What? What's that? You have to
I
count.
have to because it's my job.
Okay, do you have to continually count the things in case there's
I
something
do,
missing?
but I have a problem, which might have been next topic.
Yeah.
I'm dyscalculic, or dyscalculic, I'm not sure.
What is that? What does that mean?
It's when you are like, what's the problem with language and
Like dyslexic?
like dyslexia of number. I cannot really grasp the meaning of numbers,
Right.
which means that I'm always late because I cannot really think about time or distances as well. I don't know how much a meter is. I always think it's this, but it's always wrong.
Okay.
As somebody whose job it is in the V&A to count precious artifacts,
No, but
I won't finish that sentence.
but can't you just do it by view? But
It's just like 10. I can do it with my fingers, so it's fine.
has anyone ever tried to steal an object while you've been like on
No,
the
that
watch?
hasn't happened in years and years and years.
Really? It has happened before.
Probably like at the
Yeah.
beginning of the 20th century or something.
Yeah. It hasn't.
No, really.
No.
Sorry, not during...
Has anyone ever tried to like do anything like dodgy with the objects? Like
All
maybe
the time?
Not, yeah. What sort of
Every
things
single
they do?
day. From stepping on them to trying to fix them.
Trying to fix them.
Yeah, because they're quite old, so sometimes people think they're broken
Right.
and they try to fix them.
Okay, that's quite sweet in a way, isn't it?
Like plastering them, like bringing their own bricks and mortar or gaffer tape.
Yeah.
Moving them around and you closing things because they're open, which is the display.
But
choice.
what I'm thinking is, if you want more interactive stuff at the V&A, maybe you could have things like a artifacts mending day or something like that, where you actually get people in to actually fix things. Do you know what I mean?
But they're replicas of the originals.
Yeah, there probably would be
But you
replicas.
don't tell them that, so it makes it more, you really think you're doing something.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we could get this guy to shuffle the originals out, and then we could sell them all. Stop that film for a minute. This is a real plan, and we'll make super cash. So we just need to start a Friday. Let's fix the
objects.
artifacts.
This sounds like a cunning plan.
Okay, we've got a plan.
I'd rather not say anything on camera, but
Yeah.
I just give you a nod, like this.
Okay, so nothing's actually been stolen from the museum as far as you know, but how do you know it couldn't have been replaced by a replica?
It's too expensive to do that.
Too expensive to make the replica?
To make like loads of replicas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
Why? In a way, if you're going to make a replica, you might as well just make your own one. If you think about it, you might as well just make a bust rather than trying to replicate an original bust. Do you know what I mean? And that way you won't get busted. Well,
Not to make hard, just to not get busted.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, but it's because you're rubbish at making things, but then if you're rubbish at making things, then maybe you shouldn't try and make a bust of something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's why I buy everything, because I'm rubbish at making everything.
Can I just ask you, you're the V&A expert.
Am I?
Why is it called a bust when it's actually a head? It's not actually a bust, is it?
Primarily it is a bust, isn't it? Look at him. That's the biggest part of the thing. The head just sits on the top, right?
Okay, so it's more about the bust than the actual head. Is that what we're saying here? It's about that's a bust, isn't it?
She's got even actual boobs there. See, both of them
They're
two.
just the beginnings of boobs, really. They're not. It's not
Yeah.
really the full boob.
Maybe we should change it to call them that then. The beginning of boob.
Yeah.
Cleavages instead of busts.
Yeah, it should be called cleavages.
Look at that beautiful cleavage, as in the sculpture.
Yeah.
It's a cleavage.
Yeah.
I just think the beginning of boob. I just think it's a
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
It's a thing now. Yeah.
Boob. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm not very that. He'll know these better than me, but there's different periods, isn't there? So
Yeah.
you've got Renaissance and name some others, and then you've got
Baroque.
the Baroque, and then beginning of boob is
Rococo,
a slice
yeah.
between that and then
Yeah.
the internet or something. Pretty sure that's an age now.
It looks like we might have some more customers. Come and have a seat. Come and have a seat on the table of chat. We have got.
Don't be shy.
We've got some experts here.
It's a great chat. Great
My name's Mikey. We've got Margot. We've got Steve. We've got Anya.
top level.
What language do you speak? What language do you speak? From Brazil, Portuguese. We're playing some Portuguese music, even though we're not actually. Does anyone know any Portuguese around the table? Yeah, Spanish, Espanol.
I know one thing in Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah, freír los platos, which means wash the dishes, because I live with
really?
a Spanish girl and she never washes the dishes.
Hello.
I don't think I'm much used to this situation.
Come and have a seat on the table of chat, especially if you speak Portuguese, because then you can translate for these people. Come and sit down. Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. Come. Then everyone's welcome. This is Talkaoke. We're just getting this going. This is Talkaoke. So far, we're talking about a few different things. The Fibonacci series. Why are busts called busts when they're really like the head? Come and sit down. Don't be shy. We have a seat. A quick tour.
Sorry. Tell us how Talkaoke works.
Basically, you talk into this microphone. That's it. So that's it. Yeah, and I pass it around, and that's it. We talk about whatever comes up.
Okay.
We need more people to come because we can't leave because we'll feel really bad. So
Yeah.
until there's enough people around the table, we're basically...
Just give us a couple of minutes, and you can tell us about your tour. What's the tour? What's going on with this tour?
I work at the museum, and
Yeah.
these
Okay.
are
We need some experts.
guests this evening
Okay. Come and have a seat. Come and have a seat.
who all work in East London, and they've come to see what
Oh,
we
we've
do
come from East London as well.
and experience some things in the museum this evening,
Perfectly.
including Talkaoke.
Perfectly. Have a seat. Come on, sit down. Give it a couple of
No,
minutes.
we're going to come back later. We've got
Okay.
2 appointments around.
Yeah, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Yes. Round of applause. There we go. So as I said, we've got Margot, Steve or Stephen? Steve or Stephen, Anya, and what's your name?
Emily,
Emily.
Leanne,
Adriana, you know me.
Peter.
Deirdre.
Oh, you know each other. That okay.
Yeah, well, you still didn't come and sit down though.
I know, I'm sorry, Mikey, I'm sorry.
And as has been revealed, my name's Mikey. So anyways, this is
I was
Talkaoke.
going to come back later, I promise.
Anyway, it's not important. Let's not deal with the recriminations at this point. Let's go positive and actually try and, first of all, maybe we can find out a little bit about this tour. What is the nature of the tour?
What are you hoping to discover?
What are you hoping
this
to
evening,
discover?
chaps?
Why have
What
you come
amazing
here?
things we do at the V&A.
We want to come and see how it works after dark, I suppose, in the V&A. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's kind of what they're trying to do when they move to East London.
Move to East London?
Yeah, with a bit of the new museum.
Museum,
Yeah.
make a new museum, another museum in East London.
There's going to be a V&A branch.
Yes, in the Olympic Park.
Okay, in the Olympic Park. Okay. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. I'm
What do you
South
think-
East London. I think that would be quite good.
Yeah. So you wouldn't have to come all the way over to West London?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The point is to go to both places. They'll
Yeah.
be different. Yeah. Double the fun.
Okay.
I recently went to the Museum of Childhood, and I didn't realise for ages passing it on my way to work that it belongs to V&A. And yeah, I really enjoyed it.
19th century.
Has it always belonged to the V&A?
Yes, but it wasn't always a museum of childhood. It was given the focus of childhood, and the collection was developed in the 1970s.
A thing where that building wasn't even there. They brought it from somewhere. They just pulled it from somewhere else. It travelled on like cart and drawn by.
Yes, my history.
Okay,
is
so it was moved brick by brick. Did you know? Well, there's a lot of facts coming out here. So there's going to be a V&A, a branch of the V&A, in the Olympic Park. Yeah.
Sorry, is it going to be like a modern building, or are you just going to bring some old building to kind of bring the spirit?
A brand new, purpose-built, modern building.
Yeah. Have you got the idea of what it's going to look like already?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Any clues?
The architects are called O'Donnell and Toomey, and they are based in Dublin.
Yeah.
And they designed most recently in London a new student centre at the London School of Economics. So if you go down to just around the corner from Lincoln's Inn Fields, you can see one of their buildings there. They like brick.
Right.
It's going to be bricky.
It's going to be bricky.
Yeah, and there'll be a new Sadler's Wells next to the V&A, a kind of mid-sized theatre, so they can start to commission a different type of dance performance. And
in the Olympic Park, you haven't been listening. So how is this going to sit next to West Ham United Football Club? Is there going to be like a tunnel?
Like a glove.
Like a glove?
Like a glove.
Yeah?
It's going to be a unique place, and it already is. So when the West Ham moves in, and the concerts start up, and we've also got UCL moving there, so they've got.
Question: is football culture?
Okay. Is football culture anything?
But you were saying about little Sadler's Wells popping up there as well, and the commissioning new type of dance. Can there be something to discover inspired by football? I don't know.
Could there be a crossover? Could Sadler's Wells teach something to those footballers about?
Sure they could.
Yeah,
I'm sure they could.
Because they're around.
Football clubs have used ballet. Yeah, well they have. Some football clubs already use ballet as training.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which clubs? Probably
I'm
Spurs.
trying to remember
isn't
if it was. I think it was Chelsea.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, time's up. I'm going to marshal these.
All right. Okay. Give us a final thought.
Because
I mean, this is the beginning of the night, so we need some things to throw in there. We've got quite a lot with V&A.
Well, what did you want to talk about this evening? You're the.
I want to be surprised. I want something new. I mean, I'm already surprised that V&A is opening. Yeah, but I mean, give us some other surprising thoughts. Maybe stuff that we didn't know. I've already heard about the Fibonacci series. That was a bit. Okay. I'm going to come back to you. You haven't said much. Give us an initial or final thought. What did you think?
Football, ballet, what's better? Come on, let's have it.
Ballet.
Okay. Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. Yeah. Football, ballet.
I think football.
Yeah.
The modern ballet, surely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, go for that.
Ballet. Yeah, definitely ballet.
Yeah.
Football.
Football. Okay. Yeah.
I think I'd like to see a combination of the two.
Yeah. So a synthesis. A synthesis of football and ballet. Ballet or.
I think I prefer to watch ballet, but if we're talking about a head-to-head, they're going to go down because footballers are just going to,
Yeah.
I reckon ballet dancers go down easy. So if it's a fight, footballers are going to win. But if it's what I like, it's ballet.
That statement could be misinterpreted. But anyway, we're going to move on. Thank you very much for helping us. We need the energy to actually get this going. I think that it is something that does need to be discussed. The V&A in East London. It is. We'll bring it up later on anyway. So we'll tell you what other people think about that. Can I just ask? Are some of the objects going to come, or are you going to start again with East London objects?
2.5 million things in the collection, and only a portion of them are on show in this museum, so yes, of course.
So where are they all?
They're in storage in various places, and they're in storage in this museum.
Right.
Some things can't go on permanent display because they're too fragile, but there's always more stuff to get out.
Okay.
That's sort of the point as well, access.
Yeah, because one of the things we're talking about...
Conservation is a constant project.
One of the things we're talking about is this kind of idea that people actually want to fix some of these objects, so... an object fixing day as a sort of like interactive idea. That's just one for you. Anyway, thanks very much. Come back later. Guys, I feel you've got itchy bums. If you want to, if you want to stay, stay. If you don't want to stay,
I've really enjoyed being sat here, but I want to go and see what else is going on.
we're going all night anyway. We're just warming up. We're just, you're like me, starting the vocal chords. Do you know what I mean?
I've had a nice time, and I would stay longer, but we've only got a very short period before we have to leave. So
what are you doing?
I can't tell you because she doesn't know what it is. Yeah.
So it's a date.
Yeah, are you on a surprise date?
Not really.
No.
We have to.
Seems like a
Yeah.
Well, it is because it's a surprise, and you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And today is a date.
And it's a date of some sort.
Yeah.
Could be a friend date, but it's still a date, and it's a surprise date.
Okay. You don't know where you go.
When you find out, will you let us know?
Yeah, send us a text.
Is it in this vicinity?
No guessing. No guessing.
Okay, I'm starting to. I think it must be some kind of performance, or like could be the cinema. Anyway, this is all controversy. We need some more punters around the table. Come and have a seat. Come and get involved. I think, come and have a seat. Come and get involved in this. This is Talkaoke. Oh, fantastic.
I have cookies on offering.
Oh, right. Okay, just don't show him because we're not actually supposed to eat in the gallery, but this is a special occasion. They're not supposed to have a talk show in the gallery either.
Even though I did not eat them.
Okay. So, anyway, this is Talkaoke. It's a free-form pop-up talk show. My name's Mikey. We've got Margot there. What's your name?
Valentina.
Valentina?
Yeah.
And?
I'm Rockus.
Rockus.
May I just say, these are really delicious.
Can I
They
have a
remind.
little bit?
You can
Italian.
Okay, you can have all of it, and I'll have a new one.
Okay.
Basically, my mother recently went on holidays somewhere, and she sent me this biscuit in the shape of a cockerel.
Oh, so you can say something else then.
No, cockerel as an animal.
We've already heard that ballet dances go down need to be.
Yeah, well.
So it's not even 7 o'clock yet.
No. We're raising the bar. But anyway, so she sent it to me, and then I had it with my tea, and I thought that's a little bit chewy, and I realised it was display only. Nobody was supposed to eat that cockerel thing. It was supposed to be just put as a display.
Well, so it wasn't real chocolate?
It wasn't chocolate, it was like a biscuit. It was like a gingerbread biscuit, but it just tasted of nothing. It was like really tough. I had to dunk it in tea for like a long time. I was like, that's a bit weird, but I'll eat it, it's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry? That was from a town in Poland. She went to that place where apparently that's traditional to have those.
What,
But
display
anyway.
biscuits?
Well, exactly.
That's kind of weird.
Biscuit's a biscuit.
Because I'm from Lithuania, so I'm like really close to the region. You're Poland. Dzień dobry.
Lithuanian. They can't speak Lithuanian, that's quite embarrassing. But it's a very difficult language. It's quite hard, isn't it?
Hang on a sec, we've got some new punters. Come and have a seat on the table of chat. This is Talkaoke. We have got Margot, we've got Rockus, we've got Valentina. We haven't really sort of started talking, so it's a perfect time to come and sit down, help us warm this up. Come on, have a seat, a couple of minutes. We need to get a bit more of a conversation going. So far today we've talked about the Fibonacci series, and we've talked about, did you know there's going to be a V&A in East London? Next to West Ham United Olympic Stadium. But that's it. It's not really kind of groovy, gripping subject. We need something a bit more gripping. So maybe you're the people to actually. You don't think so? You doubt it? Well, we'll see. So, Margot, what's your name again?
Rockers.
And
Valentina.
And
Jonathan. Rory. Jonathan,
Rory, welcome. So have you haven't got any gripping subjects? You're sure you haven't got any gripping subjects? What are you doing here? What brings you here? Why did you come here?
He brought.
You came for me?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. You're here now?
Anytime.
Yeah?
Can the subject be this table? Like, what is this like future world thing going on here?
This is Talkaoke, and it is, you're right, it is the future. This is how people will converse in the future, and how people converse now.
Does your chair spin?
Yes, it does. Oops. Except I just banged my knees against the. Yeah. Okay. Let's try that again. I'm gonna have to. Okay. There we go. Some spinning going on. But come on. What's the big subjects? What are the big subjects? We talked a little bit about biscuits.
That's a big subject.
Donald Trump. Who said Donald Trump? What do you want to say about Donald Trump?
Do you know what? Yeah, I don't want to defend him.
Yeah.
But everyone does slay him all the time.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're not hearing both sides of the story. You know what I mean?
Story.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is Donald Trump getting a fair crack of the whip? That's what we're saying here.
I think Donald Trump holds the whip.
Yeah. So
that's safe to say.
Okay.
It's USA, so
yeah.
I love
Is he on
Donald
Trump?
He presents it. He's Sugar.
So he's like the American Alan Sugar.
Basically, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
It's great though. It's funny.
Yeah.
Probably more like worse than the English version, but more worse.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean,
I've never had an orange thing. Leave me alone. Just jammed into my face. It's
Donald Trump coloured.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are people? How do people feel about him potentially being the president of the United States?
I'm not going to answer that question. I'm just going to say something else.
Yeah.
Is Donald Trump so annoying because he's in the media all the time, whereas if he was your neighbour, he'd still be annoying, but less people would know about it? It's like part of the fact that he's so annoying.
Donald
just
Trump
that he's
as
so
your
wealthy
neighbour.
and he's so out there.
Would he be a good neighbour, do you think?
I would have cut down Donald Trump's tree a long time ago.
Yeah. What do you think his response would be?
His response would be to mistakenly misplace me in the world, and I would be vanished.
You'd disappear.
Yeah, he would definitely really.
If he was my neighbor, I don't think he'd be like that, because he's only saying the things he's saying because he's running for president and that's his policies. If he was your neighbor, I think it'd be normal. He'd be minding his like selling watches maybe, or like driving a Prius maybe.
Yeah, you think he would drive a Prius? Yeah, park his Prius up. Would he block your driveway?
I could just imagine him being like this whole different person if he was just like a normal human being.
You're not worried that he would like build a really big fence between your gardens?
Not at all.
No?
Okay.
Donald Trump owns shares in Chrysler, so he would definitely be driving something that would mow people's heads down on a repeated basis.
A big 4x4.
Big Hummer.
Has anyone
Can I just add one more point? He's very much a man that needs to make big things to make up for his phallic.
Okay, so there's a little bit of a psychoanalytical process going on. Come and join in. What would Donald Trump be like as a neighbour? Have you got a neighbour that's similar to Donald Trump already?
You guys can take a seat.
What's that? I can't hear what you're saying. And Rocco, you have to give us a final thought.
Final thought.
Yeah.
No, too much pressure on me. Too much pressure. I'll leave that to you guys.
Okay, well, you'll have to come back later on then. In that case, we've got a gap here.
Am I allowed to take a picture of you? Sorry.
Please take as many pictures. My name's Mikey, Jonathan, Rory, Jonathan, Margot, and we've got two over. Come sit down. Makes it look more busy. You don't have to say anything if you don't want to. He's not said anything apart from. There's nothing really that gripping. You did mention about Donald Trump doing the apprentice. Actually, so that's completely wrong. But we have had people that have sat around this table and not said anything. So don't feel that you're creating a new precedent, much like Donald Trump.
Can we discuss your shirt?
You can discuss my shirt, yes.
I enjoy it. It's really good. It's a really good shirt.
Yeah.
From?
I didn't purchase it.
It was given to you. Nice. That's a great gift.
It was sent to me by an ex-girlfriend from Newcastle.
Was this when you were broken up or before you were broken up?
No, this is like 10 years afterwards.
After you broke up?
Yeah.
Do you have that much of a lasting effect? Actually, I'm not even going to finish that. You do have a lasting effect, don't you? I can already feel it.
You're going to remember this for the rest of your life, basically. This is the first place I did Talkaoke.
Really? Is it today? Is this the first time?
No, not it's for you. The first time for you.
Oh, all right.
I've been doing this for... How long have I been doing this now, Rick? Long time. What's that? This is Rick, by the way. This is... a long time, anyway. Yeah, you were probably in nappies when I was doing this. So.
Should they lock you here?
I hope not.
Or whilst
I hope not.
This table, you just stuck in there.
What's that?
You're just stuck in this ring for the rest of
I
eternity.
sort of feel a bit like that sometimes, but I can just jump out. That's just simple.
Something.
I think that was kind of one of the things on the mood board when it was designed. Definitely, Millennium Falcon, Davros, a little bit IKEA. I don't know if you can get one of these from IKEA. This isn't part of our kit, by the way. This just happened to be there, and we actually said to the V&A, "You've got this, now you need this," kind of thing.
Oh, do you take this around with you?
This goes in a van, the bit in the middle, the glowing bit. Yeah.
What's the plastic for?
What's it for?
Yeah.
It's just to give it a sort of like slightly pink glow.
Oh, yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, I've got a spare of that actually in the studio.
So what is Talkaoke? What is?
It's a kind of medium. It's a way of just of having a conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, when more people come, if more people come, like potentially this man here. Hello. Come and have a seat. We have got Jonathan, Rory, Jonathan, Margot. This is Talkaoke. And it's just a way, I'll just explain to them, it's just a way of talking about stuff. What's your name?
Gordon.
Gordon, welcome. Jonathan, Rory, Jonathan. Three different people. My name's Mikey, this is Margot. But we've got one subject on the table, which is Donald Trump and the table itself. Have you got any subjects, any things that you think might be a good thing to talk about?
I've just arrived here, so I'm not sure.
From where?
From Hong Kong.
From Hong Kong?
Yes.
So you just arrived at London, or just arrived?
No, I've arrived for 3 or 4 days already.
Okay. And what do you think of the UK?
I think UK is very similar to Hong Kong in some ways.
Yeah.
Because of the fast-paced living style, and also the buses and the metro.
Yeah.
They are all many things that are similar to Hong
Do they
Kong,
have red buses?
but like an older version of Hong Kong. Yeah.
Okay. Are you from London, guys? Where are you from?
I'm originally from Essex, but I live in Brighton.
Okay.
I'm from Chipping Norton, but I live in London.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Midlands.
Okay, and you're from, where are you from?
I'm also from Essex.
From Essex, whereabouts in Essex?
I'm from Whittam.
Whittam, okay, yeah, on the A12, yeah. Anyway, so, I don't know, what do you think of London? Are you like, whoa, there's all buses and trains and stuff, or are you
We don't have buses and trains in Essex, don't worry.
They just go the other way. They always go backwards.
Really? Always in reverse?
Yeah.
Okay.
To Essex.
Real Essex people. Do you know Essex? Are you familiar with the
I'm not familiar with the British geography.
Can someone just explain something about Essex? Because Gordon doesn't know anything about Essex. Well, how do you explain Essex?
It's where people go to die. It's the worst place in the world.
Okay.
It is true.
Is that where you are planning to go to die?
God, no. It's where people... Actually, no, I take that back. It's where people have no other choice but to die. That is the only thing they can do.
So, what, is it a boring place?
It's...
Yeah.
Dying is less boring.
Okay. Okay, so basically Essex is just outside of London, but it's a lot where there's lots of things going on. I think what Jonathan is saying is there's not that much going on in Essex, and it's a little bit dull. Because it's outside of London. You had a question about...
But Essex girls are from Essex, surely, and they're a lot of fun. So there's some sort of something going on there.
Yeah. I was actually in Turkey. I was in Turkey, and the waiter came up to me and said, "Oh, do you know this place, Essex? Isn't that where all the really beautiful girls come from?" I was like, kind of.
As a Turk who lived in Essex, I can definitely say this man was misguided.
Yeah.
He was led astray somehow, somewhere.
Somehow the sort of
very badly.
Going to Turkey, the rumour has somehow sort of changed into like the land. Essex is the land of beautiful girls. It's not. Yeah.
The list of our ex-girlfriends shows that.
Yeah. Is it a long list? Is it a short list?
I'm speaking for myself and Jonathan.
Okay. Oh well. Okay. Okay. So where are we going to go with this? We're going to talk about Hong Kong. We're talking about Essex, the relationship.
Chipping Norton.
Chipping
Norton is where the largest quantity of bourgeois and non-bourgeois are forced into the same hole
to
rot.
slowly. It's also where David Cameron lives.
Yeah.
Okay.
David Cameron, the bourgeois.
He lives there because I remember, because are we thinking about the same place? You're talking about Chipping Norton in the Midlands. Okay, is it not so far from Long Compton and like Stratford-on-Avon? Okay, right, because I lived in Long Compton, talking about shitholes, right? And Chipping Norton was quite an upgrade, you know. But apparently, isn't that where people used to? There was like quite a lot of crack cocaine smokers. Is that what it is? Okay.
What I want to do here, I want to ask there's a meta question here. There's a meta question here, which is about you're talking about bourgeois and non-bourgeois people. Gordon here, mate, do you know what
is bourgeois?
Yeah, okay, so we need to maybe explain what you mean by that, and that might give Gordon an inkling into something about British life. Right. Especially here at the V&A. Did you know they're planning to have a V&A in East London? Are we talking about class here? You need to explain this to Gordon.
The bourgeois basically are the upper middle class, in the most simple terms, the bourgeoisie. So,
is that from a French word by any chance?
I just know it from Only Fools and Horses.
Yeah, sorry?
It's from Madonna's song. She sang something about bourgeoisies. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Karl Marx.
Yeah? Did Karl Marx come up with this? Yeah. Okay, so bourgeois means upper middle class.
It's like the opposite.
I don't think it was Marx.
Okay, well, we need
bourgeois is a French word. Karl Marx was German?
Well, okay, cool. Well, let's stick with Karl Marx for now, and then maybe we'll get some clever person along that will give us like a proper analysis of...
Well, it's like the opposite of proletariat, isn't it?
Sorry?
It's like the opposite of proletariat.
It's the opposite of proletarian, yeah.
So that's like a word that Karl Marx coined, so he used bourgeoisie as the opposite.
Okay, so bourgeoisie is the opposite.
It's the binary.
What's that?
I don't know. I'm listening. I'm learning.
But what about Essex? Is that a bourgeois place? No.
They're like rough like there are areas where it's kind of has that veneer, but like it's still actually, when in the grand scheme of things, kind of just lower middle class.
Okay.
There are like 4 estates in Essex. Yeah, there's Brentwood is still lower middle class.
Let's just bring Gordon in on this. Do they have those kind of differences like in class in Hong Kong? Are there bourgeois areas?
We don't have terms like bourgeois, but indeed the difference is very large between different classes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same. It's even, I think it's one of the worst places in the world.
What is?
To have the income difference.
Okay, so there's a big disparity of income. Oh, we've got some potential new punters coming up. We're talking about class at the moment. Did you know that we're talking about, maybe you could give us a bit of information because we're a little bit stuck on the term, you've mentioned the term bourgeois, sort of meaning upper class. What's that?
Spangleheads.
Spangleheads.
That's a good word.
Anyway, so that's what we're talking about at the moment. This is Talkaoke. It's a free-form talk show where you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. We've got Jonathan, Rory, Jonathan. What's your name?
Bernd. Bernard is fine, yeah. It's difficult to pronounce. Bernard is fine.
Oh,
Bernd, correct.
Bernard. Yeah. Okay, I'll try. And we've got Gordon. What's your name?
I've got a weird one too. It's Shifra.
Shifra.
Yeah.
Okay. Where's that from?
Ireland.
Ireland. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Margot,
and I'm Mikey. So we're trying to, apparently, is it you, Rory, that's from Chipping Norton? Yeah. Rory's from Chipping Norton, where there's a mix of bourgeois and non-bourgeois in quite a sort of like antagonistic kind of way.
Drastic.
Yeah.
It's a pretty like cold cut down the middle of the town.
And basically what Gordon's from Hong Kong, and he's saying there is a big disparity between the rich and poor in Hong Kong. So what about Ireland? Do you have this problem with bourgeois and what's the other one? Proletariat in Ireland?
I don't know. Do I have to hold this or?
Yeah, go on, hold the mic. Give Shifra a round of applause, come on. Yeah.
I actually haven't lived in Ireland for about 3 years, so
but
the current climate, I have no idea. We had an election today. I didn't vote.
There was an election today?
Yeah, for our government, but I don't think any of them should be allowed in the government, so, you know.
Why?
Because they're all fucking useless, excuse me.
Come on, this is Friday nights. We can let our hair down here at this point. Don't worry about it. Yeah, we're safe.
There's obviously, you know, economic disparities wherever you go.
Yeah.
And there's obviously the super rich, and then there's the not so super rich, and then there's the really, really, really not super rich.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of
Do you think
everywhere
it's
in
the
the
same
world.
the world over, that you get a rich and poor? That you get like this antagonism between rich and poor?
Unless you have this, you know, very sort of architectured, constructed utopian society, it's not going to work, and that doesn't work, and isn't going to work anyway. So, yeah, there is going to be this, you know, economic disparity wherever you go, and rightly or wrongly, it's gonna be there, I think.
So, is it just about money? Or is there
Isn't there a difference between income and then class? I mean, in England, I know I'm German, but I believe in England you can be high class but still poor. Yeah, you can be a poor, you know, lord or something. Yeah, you can be a rich proletarian, a rich plumber. Yeah, it's always a mystery to me. Yeah, so it's not necessarily linked to income.
Okay, so it's not. What is it about then? If it's maybe you've got a better view on this as an outsider.
Well, Germany, we're all middle class, so everyone has the same aspirations. So if you're a plumber or a doctor, you would have the same sort of, you know, the same cars, the same holidays, similar aspirations. Whereas here, if you are in a working class, you make a point about it. You swear a lot. Your band is dirty. You're proud to be different from the upper class. The upper class speaks in a funny tone, in a funny accent. So they have little signals that the insiders can read. Oh yeah, this upper class. This is.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot more to it than money. It's about how you speak. It's about how clean your van is. If you saw our van outside, we would definitely be in the working class category. It's about how you speak. Is that the same? Is that the same in Ireland? Do you think?
I don't think we really have an upper class, so to speak. No, he's not even upper class, actually.
Is Bono like the kind of like what people aspire to?
No. I mean, I actually live very close to Bono. Generally, geographically speaking, I live about a 7-minute walk from his house.
Yeah. Is most of that 7 minutes walking up to the door?
Probably, yeah.
From through the garden?
Yeah, no. Slightly downhill.
Yeah.
I don't think class is such a thing in Ireland. Like wealth is there's more emphasis on class in the UK, absolutely, than there is in Ireland.
Are you sometimes surprised about the kind of judgments people make?
Well, no, because I think as an outsider, it's kind of I can come in and be like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
You have a manor house. I'm like, all right, great. Where I think English people have much more, or British people, have much more of a. Like they look on it much differently than outsiders do. Like for me, if I met a lord, I'd be like, awesome,
so what?
Great. Where I feel that from working with English people, if they met a lord, it'd be like, oh, who the fuck do you think you are? It's just a very different way that they might interact with them.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Have you met? What's that?
We're very bitter.
You think as a nation? Yeah. Where does the bitterness come from?
The fact that Great Britain is one of the only places in the world that is unfortunate enough to have an 80% air-water density.
What does that mean?
So colour doesn't actually exist in this country. It's filtered through grey shit.
So you're putting
it's a fact. No, it's actually a fact, and it's one of the reasons why people think this place is so morbid. Is because if you say, for instance, it's a really easy way to tell something like this. If you take half a roll of film in a camera in England and you fly to California and shoot the other half, the developer will ask you if something's wrong with your camera.
Really?
Yeah. But literally every time. I mean, just based on the quality of your developer.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
David Hockney actually wrote a book about that whole subject.
Who?
David Hockney, the artist.
Hockney. Okay.
It's the reason we're so.
Okay.
Well, though, because like English people have a much less nice view about England than outsiders do. Like I've lived in different places around the world, and I'm very happy to live in London.
Yeah.
Whereas, people who actually are from England or from London, are like, it's a shithole. I fucking hate it here. Whereas, and tons of people come to London to live and to work.
Yeah, like Gordon, he's just arrived to London 4 days ago.
I got here in January. Yeah. Like there are tons of immigrants here who are living and working in London who don't have this, I hate it here, it's so shit kind of attitude.
Yeah. It's a different problem to water density in the air. The reason that people are in England
Yeah.
It's not because it's... I think a lot of people in England aren't here by choice. I think they've been forced to.
Like who?
Like me.
Yeah. Where would you rather be?
Well, my ancestors are both from... are both a shitty receipt from 2 different wars. And I fucking hate being here.
Yeah.
I wish I'd been born in a different country.
What country
Very
would
much
you
so.
wish you'd been born?
Any other country.
Literally any other country.
You can go and live and work in the whole of Europe.
Not so fast.
Okay, I mean, all right, so, I mean, should people be able to just go and live wherever they want to live? Jonathan wants to live anywhere else, basically, doesn't matter. No, everyone else wants to live here, but not everyone's from the UK. Should people just be allowed to? You're from Germany. What?
Well, as a 17 years.
Yeah.
So, but as European, I think it's one of the great achievements of the European Union. Yeah, this freedom to work and live everywhere in the EU. It's brilliant. Yeah. Young people move around. It's fantastic. Yeah. But also, I would say that London is very different from England or Britain. So it's a bubble. It's a global city. You know, one third is probably foreigners like us. Yeah. But it makes a fantastic place. But it's very different if you go outside. It's a nice country outside, but it's so different.
Yeah.
And all this discussion.
Do you agree with this idea that English people are quite sort of bitter and...
No, they're very lovely. I mean, they're very nice people.
You think they're nice people? Do you think they've got like a little bit of a kind of... Is it down to the excess humidity, the poor
I mean, it's a different temperature. For instance, if you ask an American, how are you? They say, awesome, yeah. But if you ask English people, it's not too bad. It's the highest you get.
Yeah. So not too bad is basically kind of the standard default setting.
But I think that's kind of what I like about British people, just like they're being quite moderate in voicing their opinions, because I think, well, I come from Poland and I lived there for, well, yeah, exactly, the international side. These guys are from Essex, that's quite international as well.
Yeah.
And I think people in Poland, they can be really quite fucking cutting, you know. They can be like quite extreme. They can make you feel like you mean absolutely nothing. And it's funny how you guys are talking about class, and I think in Poland the way it works is like it's not about having a lot of money just so you've got a lot of money and good quality of life. I think first thing is have more money than your neighbor, and I think that kind of translates into that's basically the philosophy of that country, and that translates into how people are with each other. So coming to England and whatever I come up with, whatever I say, people are like, oh yeah, that's cool. I'm not being judgmental. To me, it's just like unbelievable that people can actually be like this. So I mean, it's interesting that you say you don't want to be here, which is like, which is just interesting.
Do you think Jonathan would how do you think he would fare in Poland? Because would that be a country?
You would want to die, depending on where you go. But
my best friend growing up is Polish, and I've heard a lot of wonderful things about the country. Mainly the fact you can be in the middle of nowhere and not have to see anyone for ages. That sounds wicked. That sounds correct.
Coming closer to people, that's when it gets a bit tricky.
Okay. I mean, is it maybe people have always got like a sort of because it seems that everyone thinks where they've come to is come and get involved in this. Come and have a seat. Come and. Well, the best way to do that is come and give your opinions. Set an example, that's the best way to do it. Well, basically, we sort of started talking about bourgeois and what it means, especially in the English context, and a class. Then we started talking about, are English people just kind of bitter? But then why does everyone want to come here? And is it just English people that think that it's bitter? Well, we've got some Essex, Midlands Essex we've got here. We've got other Essex. But is it, are as English people kind of doing it down? Are we kind of like, all the people that come from around the world think it's an amazing place? It's moderate, it's non-judgmental, there's lots of things going on, but English people seem to think, I mean the term, I've just got to report the term that everyone else has used, which is shithole. But I mean, look, here we're in the V&A Museum. It's not a shithole, really, is it? I mean, well, anyway, what's your opinion? What's your name, first of all?
I'm Kat, and I work here at the V&A.
Okay.
And so I'm probably a bit biased to talk about the V&A, but I do think we're a nation of cynics, I have to say. It's very true, we are a nation of cynics. But it's part of our nature to be self-depreciating.
Why?
I think. I'm not sure why, but it's just part of our character. I feel like other people take us too seriously when we say some things.
Yeah.
They think we're, being completely pessimistic in that, but actually, unless you don't understand, some of it can be quite sarcastic.
So just use the term self-depreciating. So is it about kind of literally making yourself a bit smaller?
Can I, along with that the self-deprecating nature of English people generally started after the fall of the English Empire.
Right.
And when we stopped forcing ourselves to believe that we were better than what we are,
So
and by
before
telling
then
everyone
we were-
else we were better, and
before then
realised
we
we were
were the
actually just a
opposite of
tiny
self-
little rock on this huge planet.
Yeah. So you think it's down to the end of empire that's made us self-deprecating?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so come and have a seat, come and get involved in this. We're talking about, do you think English people are self-deprecating, and why is that? That's what we're talking about now. Are they cynical? Do they not see the bright side of things? Come and get involved in this. And Margot, what's your...
I was just wondering, you know how we were saying about Donald Trump, you guys were here for that, weren't you?
Yeah.
And somebody said, oh, this is because he's got a very small willy, that's why he's so out there. But I'm thinking, but maybe if...
I see where you're coming from.
But with this whole greatness of Great Britain, maybe kind of British people like play themselves down because deep inside they think that they're like quite great anyway, so they don't need to prove anybody anything. Whereas if you've got a complex about something, they'll be like, no, I am quite powerful, this is what I'm about. No, I do have money, look, I'm just going to throw it around.
So the self-deprecation comes from a kind of self-assurance, that's what you're saying?
I don't know, maybe I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
It's just an open question.
Okay, well, let's put it out there to the audience. Where does this British self-deprecation come from? What is it about? Everyone's welcome to come and sit at the table, whether you work here or not. We've got Kat that works here, and you can authorise everyone else to come and sit down. Where does it come from, this is it a quiet self-assurance? Is that why people are cynical and self-deprecating? You disagree?
I think it's the opposite. I think the self-deprecation comes from thinking that England, I mean, the name Great Britain says it all. There was clearly nobody else outside of Britain who named it Great Britain. The self-deprecation comes from realising that you're actually really shit after thinking you're great. Whereas when you look at America, that's built upon the idea of we're great and we're going to show everyone.
Right.
And then feeling shit because you realise you're not. Okay. It's just the other way.
Americans are all about, like, we...
America started counterculture, that idea. Like,
yeah, okay, yeah.
Well, did they start counterculture?
Yeah.
In London?
Well, hang on, Jonathan.
We have actually, it's been announced today, and I'm not just plugging the V&A for the sake of it, investigating the world of counterculture from 1966 onwards, looking at London as well as everywhere else. The exhibition opens in September here.
And what is counterculture?
And what is counterculture is one of the questions that it comes across here. You? How do you define yourself as counterculture?
Okay. Hang on a sec, we've got a potentially interesting person. Come and sit down, we're talking about the nature of British people, especially English people. Why are they self-deprecating? Are they self-deprecating? Are they cynical? Are they miserable? Come and sit down, come and get involved. We have got Margot, we've got Shifra, we've got Gordon, Bernard, Jonathan, Rory and Jonathan and Kat and Mikey. What's your name? Christine? Have a seat. Yeah, you can listen, yeah. I mean, like Gordon hasn't said that much recently, but you're still enjoying this, aren't you?
I think so.
Okay.
Sure, because the topic jumped too quickly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think now we're kind of settled on something, which is the nature of Englishness. I sort of feel we've kind of settled on... and Christine, are you from England?
No, I'm Danish.
You're Danish? Mm-hmm. Do you think that Danish people are like... English people are like a little bit miserable, a little bit cynical, a little bit self-deprecating?
Not at all. No.
You don't?
Why would I think so? Huh?
You should get to know these guys. Exactly. Come and have a seat. Yeah.
When we're saying English as in England, I don't know if this is me just being a pedant, we're not saying Great Britain or UK, we're saying England specifically.
I don't know. I mean,
is that what we're talking about?
What's that?
I mean, apparently it's quite different in Ireland, so you've said.
Yeah. But Guys, Ireland's not part of Great Britain. Just want to put a factual point. I think we've got a new face at the table. What's your name?
Elam.
Elam. We've got Kat, we've got Jonathan, we've got Rory, we've got Jonathan, Bernard, Gordon, Shifra, Margot and Christine, who's from Denmark. And that's what I guess we're just talking about. We started off talking about class. Do they have this kind of class difference in other, and this kind of like snobbery, reverse snobbery in other countries? Apparently in Germany, everyone's kind of the same. They've got the same aspirations. They've all got the same cars, probably like Mercedes and stuff like that, I guess. You know, we all seem to be a little bit bitter towards each other, and that's what people have been saying. It's not my view. I'm just rephrasing, so that's where we are right now. And is it the same in other countries? Jonathan puts it down to a very humid atmosphere, and B, something to do with Britain relinquishing its empire in a sort of sense of kind of diminished sort of power in the world. Margot puts it down more to a kind of self-assurance. So which is it? And that's what we're talking about really here. I don't know if anyone's got any views. Where do we want to take this conversation? It's kind of up to you.
Can I go back to something?
Yeah, please do. Please do. Please do.
Move on, please.
No, I won't.
What was it?
I was just going to go back to what you said about it. Counterculture didn't start in 1966. When you think about I mean, in America when like the Prohibition happened, there was a whole underground making alcohol. There's a whole community that bred the whole of what cocktails are, and frankly, a lot of money in the act of drinking now. So I mean, that's spurned out of a counterculture that was well before 1966.
So counterculture came from Prohibition era America, as far as you're concerned.
Yeah, it's something that's enforced and then something else being bred out of that, a culture being bred out of that.
Okay.
But even before, like Lord Byron, poets, wild hairdos, outrageous behavior in his university town. So it's always been around. Always a force against the mainstream. Yeah.
Okay, so you put it back even further to the Romantic poets, people like Byron. When did counterculture start?
In the US. I still wouldn't say it started in the US. If we're going back, I would say it is these European people. I mean, you can trace it back to God, I bet there were like some radical Greeks, actually.
Some countercultural Greeks. Has there always been counterculture?
Culture, presumably. Like culture by its nature will have a counterculture because there'll be people who don't either fit the mold or want to fit the mold or who disagree with the mold in itself.
So in a way, all culture starts off as counterculture because there's just a few people doing it, I suppose. Do people agree with what Shifra's saying?
I mean, I don't know, but isn't like going against the mold, like going against the mainstream is like what being an artist is or should be.
Okay,
so counterculture is just perfectly just culture.
Yeah, okay, so counterculture is basically the role of the artist. What's that?
I was just saying it's kind of the mainstream to be an artist now.
Andy Warhol, Damien Hirst. I mean, you think about the amount of money that's in. If you can't call that amount of money mainstream, it's definitely not underground. The amount of money that's in art, is it?
But did it start off as counterculture? Does all culture begin as counterculture? That's what people have been saying. By the way, this is Talkaoke. Come and have a seat. Come and get involved in this. We're having a cultural discussion now. Where did counterculture start? Kat says it started in America. So no.
I said it didn't start in America.
Oh no, that's right. Jonathan said it started in America.
Words in my mouth.
Yeah, Jonathan said it started in America with Prohibition, the speakeasy, all of that kind of like stuff. But what you said it started?
I said, well, where do you stop? You could take it back to like it being already, as you were saying, this like group of outsiders always going to be the counter. So
okay, so there's always been.
I guess is it counterculture that's a capital C or a small c? I guess maybe that's the distinction.
What's the difference between a counterculture with a capital C and counterculture?
Counterculture with a capital C being the one that everyone kind of associates of like the 60s, whereas counterculture as like an action with a small c being these outsiders of society creating their own rules and art, perhaps not, this kind of person rather than...
Okay, so that's something that's always existed. Ellen, were you going to say something?
Nothing, no.
Okay, you just look shaping up as if you're going to say something. Bernard, are you going to give us a final thought? Okay, we'll come back maybe later. We've got a couple of free seats. Come and get involved in this. Come and get involved. What do you think about this whole Counterculture, is culture essentially, in a way, the product of counterculture? Like, it always starts off as something different, something against the norm. That's what. So, what's your name?
Mike is my name.
Mike, welcome.
What's your game?
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you did there. Backgammon.
Backgammon, okay. Mike's his name and backgammon's his... No, Mike's his game. Mike's his name. Backgammon's his game. Anyway, we're talking about culture. How does culture start? Does it start off from some outsiders doing something different, be it making cocktails, as in the speakeasy prohibition era example, or making slightly different sculptures? And people talked about Greek sculpture. Where does culture come from? Is it just something that people do?
You can quote Terence McKenna here.
What do you mean?
No, I was going to say, with me and Jonathan were talking last night about how culture, Terence McKenna's idea that culture started from a couple of people eating mushrooms, a couple of ancestral
So it starts
monkeys.
from kind of psychotropic, psychedelic...
And yeah, I was just talking about that as a nice...
That would fit into the countercultural kind of...
I'm trying to remember the definition. I started reading this book about language, and then in one of the first chapters, they were just saying how obviously languages are different, how you see world differently in different languages, and then they took definition of culture, and they quoted definition from an English dictionary, German and French, and this guy who wrote that book, he was trying to prove that this is like each definition kind of captures the quintessence of each nation somehow.
Right.
So British definition was something about cultivation, like cultivation of nearly of land, but kind of just cultivation, like a process, like a gradual process. And then German definition was just like just becoming a better person altogether, basically. No. I'm obviously approximating it massively there. Yeah. And then the French, it's something about something and a good taste. So this guy was saying, like, obviously French are going to be talking about good taste. But anyway, so he was saying it's different.
In a way, language also frames out what we even think of as culture. So different languages, taking different substances. I just wanted to point out as well, this is Talkaoke, everyone's welcome to come and take a seat. Or if you've got something to say, just grab the mic. You don't have to be sitting down around these orange seats to get involved in this.
You could argue that religions started off as counterculture, wouldn't they? Like, obviously, imagine Christianity started off as a bunch of, basically a cult.
Yeah,
you can say that.
Okay, so religion, in a way, starts off as counterculture.
Everything started as counterculture.
Everything starts in counterculture.
Absolutely everything.
Okay.
Even languages, like you said, religion, everything.
That's quite general. I mean, think about Spam as an example. That was an instant popular hit. People just loved it.
You're talking about the meat product?
Yes.
Yes,
I am.
Email.
No, definitely the meat product.
Yeah. Was that a countercultural?
No, that was instant love from the whole nation.
So your kind of Spam didn't start off in the counterculture.
Maybe pop culture is the only thing that bucked the trend.
Okay.
Well, but pop culture doesn't start off as pop culture. That's the whole point of pop culture.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a presented product that has been calculated to benefit everyone, supposedly.
But did it start? Did it start off as a countercultural thing?
No. Think about saying say a musician like Rihanna or something. She's a calculated product. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. Let's bring some other people into this. Pop music, is it counterculture? Has it ever been counterculture? Is it just a product like Spam? What do people think?
Surely, like punk, that started out as a counterculture, but then that became popular, right? They were performing on Top of the Pops and things like that, a lot of the popular bands, so
it started as counterculture?
Yeah, it starts that way, but then, I suppose maybe capitalism comes in and,
People see an opportunity.
Exactly.
And then it
why
becomes
not?
a product.
Exactly, because now, punk, people dress that way, but it's more of a fashion statement rather than following any type of philosophy, I feel. So,
Okay, so punk music, possibly counterculture now packaged.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When does
hang on a second, we've got someone from the cheap seats. Come and tell us.
I was going to say that what is pop today, or what was pop years ago, where they played often enough and long enough, it becomes classics.
Okay.
So if you look at the classical all the radio classics you hear on the radio, what else have you?
Have you got a particular thing in mind when you say classics?
Well, you know, the Mozarts and Rigoletto and all these things, when they were played at that time, they weren't that popular. They were only looked down upon, but as people took to it, and they've been played for so long that they become classics. And even things like Beatles now, they're considered to be classics.
Okay, do you think the Beatles started off as a counterculture?
Well, at the time before the Beatles, when you had Elvis Presley playing rock and roll, that was considered very anti-establishment. It was the devil's music. And people were stopped from, parents were a bit more guarded, stopped their children watching it. And now nobody thinks anything of it.
Okay, so actually there is a counterculture. We're talking about how culture actually develops, how it actually emerges. We've got a couple of free seats. I'll come to you in a second, Ellen. But I'm trying to encourage. Come and sit down on the front seat. Are things like the is anything like the Beatles, Elvis Presley? It's so kind of normal and established now. But at one point, that was counterculture.
Jazz is a good one, actually.
Yeah. Come and sit down. Tell us your name as well. Give him a round of applause.
Okay. I'm Hem, and I just thought music like jazz in the last century were considered to be quite subversive, and it also considered to be black. So this music wasn't played on mainstream stations right until 60s. In fact, I remember a time when Michael Jackson's songs weren't played right until the early 80s because there was black music.
Really?
And I remember buying my first record player to listen to this big album called Thriller.
Right.
But the American stations didn't play it, and now Michael Jackson's big thing. But it's just it's difficult to imagine 30, 40 years ago Michael Jackson music wouldn't be played by big time stations. And that applied to the BBC as well. They were quite subversive. They didn't play a lot of this black music. Okay. So what was considered to be black culture, underground music, have come along.
So a lot of this counterculture comes from sort of black music.
Not essentially, I'm just giving an example.
One example,
what is not acceptable at a certain point in time becomes very establishment.
Yeah.
And now there's hardly a time when, jazz has become very mainstream.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
I mean, following on from what you said before and what you're saying now, I suppose Shakespeare was kind of counterculture because I heard that at the time people kind of looked down at him because he was using this, he was talking to the... Exactly. But now, oh my gosh, if you want to see a play by Shakespeare, it's going to be a bit pricey, it's not really in the streets for the people anymore, I guess so. Okay. It was at the time counterculture, but now maybe not.
So is it that all these great works, this great culture starts off on the wrong side of the tracks, unaccepted by the establishment?
I think also sometimes you've got people like Martha Argerich, and she played classical music. I don't know if that's how you say it, Martha Argerich. She's a pianist.
Right.
So when she was a young girl, she won a number of Chopin competitions playing piano, and so she was playing the classical music, but the way she played it, she was just so controversial. She'd turn up in mini skirt with black hair, just just flowing, and she'd just play this tune by I was going to say Shakespeare, that's not true, by Chopin, and she'd just walk away in her high heels, and people were like, what just happened? Is this, are we supposed to be offended, or is it really cool, or what? And she just did what she wanted to do, and she was, by the way she conducted herself, but still she is still an amazing artist. That's what made her maybe slightly counterculture or something.
So, is it just the case
how you do it
the
as well?
artist doesn't care about these kind of norms, or is it?
I don't think artists should care about that at all.
Yeah. Okay.
It also depends who listens to the music. I remember ska music was very subservient music, actually, if you think about it, until the Queen mum passed away, and then they found she was a great ska fan. Right. And then you had all this madness performing everywhere. And you can imagine the Queen mum listening to ska, but not officially.
Is there anything now that is countercultural, that is kind of against the grain, that maybe in the future will get kind of sucked into the mainstream?
I feel like being mainstream is countercultural now, because everyone wants to be, oh no, I'm not mainstream, I'm really different, I'm unique, and this, that and the other, I don't follow the status quo, anti-establishment all the way. I think everyone wants to feel that way, and it's no, you're not, by doing I think I'm very mainstream, I'm very boring, so I'm okay admitting that.
You're actually the new counterculture.
No, and I don't believe, I would never, I wouldn't say that, but I feel that there's so many people who want to be countercultural that it's kind of becoming the culture to be countercultural.
Okay,
if you know
all
what I
right,
mean.
interesting twist. Jonathan?
That is because of the internet directly. Like the death of the underground is something that is very prevalent in this age.
Yeah.
I mean, where can anything be underground anymore? Because everything's accessible.
I mean, is that a good thing?
I think we can't tell that yet.
Okay, we've got some interested punters. We're talking about what is underground, what is subversive. Is there such a thing now as a counterculture, whereas you can get anything on the internet now? Can you actually even have this kind of movement from, like we heard, Elvis Presley used to be shocking with his rock and roll and his gyrations, but now it's completely standard, and we're not shocked by anything anymore because we get it all on the internet.
It's pretty hard now for somebody to come up with something totally new anyway, because there's so much and everything has been done so intensely, and there's so many people doing everything now. So it's kind of like, I don't think there'll ever be, I can't imagine, at least in music, there'll ever be a point again where something like rock and roll or blues or jazz
So we're past the rock and roll
again.
moment now.
Kind of, in a way, yeah. Like, I mean, there's bands that'll do things different, or producers or other people that will do things differently. But I think it's quite hard to.
Yeah. Okay. You think that's pessimistic? You gave a really funny face, but was that because you were just yawning, or was it you actually? You disagree?
I don't know. I just thought it was quite. In my head, it was quite funny that we were. Again, it was another quite pessimistic outlook, perhaps. And when I arrived, we were talking about the Brits being pessimistic.
Yeah. So you think that's a pessimistic British approach?
Is it? Are you? Okay. Fair enough.
Give us a final thought.
Final thought. Oh my God.
Well, maybe that could be the final thought. Okay, right. Okay, there's some spare seats. Where are we going to take this conversation? We're talking about culture. We're in the V&A. What does it all mean? Does it really matter that we don't seem to have counterculture anymore? You rushed to the table. Have you got something to say, or you just tell us your name?
Oh, I'm Cara.
Cara, welcome. We've got Ellen. Is it Ham?
It's Ham. Yes. I was going to say it's not just about counterculture. I think sometimes music is the weapon for radicalizing or politicizing a population to win independence. So if you think about in Latvia, I think it was one of the Baltic states like Latvia where they had the singing revolution. So there was no guns or bullets or anything. So that's how they got they sang. It was called the singing revolution, and that wasn't that many years ago. They sang, and the Russians got the message, and they left. They couldn't become independent. But then there are other places where songs have been sung, and they haven't gone down terribly well. So if you think a place like Chile, where they had one of these great guitarists, he played, and the establishment didn't take to it, so they chopped his hands off to stop him playing the guitar.
Wow, that's quite serious.
And his songs were sung here in the Albert Hall, so this was only about 20, 30, 40 years ago.
So music can be a weapon, can be a serious weapon?
On the other side of that, it can be the very tool that radicalizes. For instance, ISIS use a specific ban on music. But allow only the form of a nasheed, which is just vocal chanting, and sometimes a large bass drum. I mean, that's obviously very similar to something like football chants. And it's very similar to the idea of like choral singing, which indoctrinates people in terms of religion. I think music is not a weapon. I think it's just a very moldable form to which you can convince people with.
Okay, so music is just a powerful tool, it's not necessarily a weapon. Have you got a final thought, Ham?
No, I think it's a very interesting topic, and I wish these young people can be radicalized to produce something
You
really
want them
great.
to be radicalized?
Yes.
In what way?
Moved by music and produce new stuff that get people singing, save the environment, whatever.
Okay, all right. Interesting. Maybe
and I can tell you that a lot of these movements that took place, like Martin Luther King, he had these songs, they were the spirituals that really captured the imagination of people for a change. And I think we can do the same thing for a new agenda that we brought about climate.
Do you think the new generation's a bit lacking in imagination and needs some kind of...
I think they're too busy on the internet, really, to get out and sing together.
Okay, so maybe we need a new music, a new culture for a new generation.
Together in the same room.
Or maybe we just don't. Maybe we basically just don't need to invent anything. It will invent itself by default because we are just constructed that way. I think if you keep changing combinations, like using the the building blocks that, you know, that they've already been developed over so many centuries. You all come up with something, and if not, then what's the big deal? It's fine, basically.
Do you think everything's been, because like Rory was suggesting that all pop music, all kind of revolutionary music's kind of been done now?
I think maybe Rory is right, but I don't see why that's a concern. It's like, that's fair enough, like we're nothing special. I don't think we're anything special. So just the fact that we are doing things in a similar way that ages ago, that's just because we're human, basically.
Okay, all right.
We're going to repeat the same patterns.
Let's get some more people around come and have a seat on the table. We're talking about, I don't know what we're talking about, culture, how it happens. Come on, sit down, come on,
I'm just going to be a bit controversial. I've got a bit of man flu, so apologies.
What's that?
I've got a bit of man flu, so apologies. The husky voice. I mean, we talked about religion, right? Religion essentially is a conduit for tribalism. But if you're thinking about a sort of countercultural, terrorism, I guess, if you look in the Middle East.
You think that's the new counterculture?
Well, no, I mean, it's literally, if you think about it, counterculture. I mean, it's obviously against a certain culture. If we're looking at it if you're looking at it from semantically. And I guess they are then taking a new radical extreme. I mean, extremism as it isn't new. However, the belief of whatever they're transpiring against.
I mean, I guess people reacted in maybe not as outraged way as they do to ISIS, but they were outraged by punk and by rock and roll. So maybe that's a similar kind of outrage in a way, outrage of terrorism, even more outrageous.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess I was going from a semantical perspective. I mean, you're finding lots of black swan events occurring. I mean, obviously not only in the financial markets.
Come and sit down. Come get a sore on.
In a minute, but yeah, it's just it's very interesting. Great conversation, some great contributions. I love the spam comment, and I agree completely. But no, I thought I'd throw that into the mix.
Okay. Well, the thing is, that's quite a big one to throw in and then just walk away. I think you sit down and
What is the Black Swan event? He mentioned that Black Swan event.
What's the Black Swan event?
Yeah, that was Nicholas Nazim Taleb. Great. Well, this is not the old Natalie Portman movie. This is it's a great book written by Nicholas Nazim Taleb. Basically, a Black Swan event is everyone believed that swans were white, right, for hundreds of years. And then, I think it was China, I can't remember the location, as they turned up there, and something they'd always believed was to be the case was disproven, because they saw black swans.
The swans are all white, first of all.
Exactly, yeah. So basically, a black swan event is something that you didn't expect to happen. Yeah, exactly. It was never really thought of.
Yeah. They may be genetically modified swans?
No,
I mean, were they natural? Okay.
Naturally black swans?
No. Yeah. But essentially, a black swan event is just something that no one really expected to happen.
Yeah.
And that is obviously countercultural because...
Can you give us an example of a recent black swan event?
I guess... I mean, that's a great one. I wouldn't have thought of that. I guess generally what he brought up was the uprisings in Egypt in his book. The financial crisis. No one thought that subprime was as rotten as it was.
Right.
I mean, there's certain different
events. So it's just unexpected events that happen and they just change everyone's view of
society, perceptions. Yeah.
Okay.
That's essentially what a black swan event. Right. Thank you for the time.
You might as well stay here, sit down there. What's your name?
It's Andy.
Andy. So we have got Ellen, we've got Cara, is that right? Yeah. Jonathan, Rory, Jonathan, Mike, Gordon, Shifra, and Margot, mine's Mikey. Where do we want to take this conversation? Do we want to talk about black swan events? Do we want to talk about terrorism as a new counterculture? Do we want to talk about what is culture? I mean, it's up to you. The whole point of Talkaoke is my job in the middle is just to move this microphone around.
Is there any way I can charge my phone? I'm just curious.
Just over there in the corner. Yeah, of course, just under the bust. Yeah, it's fine. I give you permission.
I'd like to just... The guy Ham who just left left with quite an interesting point, I think.
Yeah.
And the fact that our generation supposedly is not capable of a countercultural movement because we spend too much time on the internet.
Yeah.
I think a global countercultural movement is more important, and that is only accessible through the means of the internet and through organisation in that way.
You think the internet can actually breed a new countercultural movement?
Of course, and it's had evidence today. There's no reason it can't. I think to use the internet as an excuse is just stupid.
Okay. Come back.
I think if anyone in our generation is going to radicalise or change anything, there needs to be a massive drop in the level of apathy for a lot of my generation.
So you do think there's a lot of apathy?
Completely apathetic or or pretend to have a thought or an idea about something to boost their own means in a narcissistic way. So say, post a petition on Facebook, they might not actually care about that petition, or they wouldn't actually, if given a chance, do anything to change that, because they might have to make an effort, but there's an image of them now put out there, so they think their kind of job is done.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So there's quite a low effort threshold necessary now. Is the young generation capable of a countercultural movement at this point? Is the internet a hindrance or a tool? That's what we're talking about. Any views on this?
I mean, I completely agree. Jonathan? Completely agree with you. I think when you've got the internet and social media, right, you've got access to millions of people at the click of a button. Yeah. And actually, it's how you rile those people up to communicate a message which people can believe in and really resonate with. Completely agree with them, 100%. It's actually, it is an enabler for us to communicate to the masses. It's just how you do that to empower the masses that I guess, translate into whether it's countercultural.
Do you think that young people will start a new movement? Is that over now? Is it just a load of diverse, different movements now?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, it depends on the individuals, right? I think there's potential for it, although I think it depends on the cultures. A lot of Western society has a sense of entitlement, and people don't generally tend to challenge the status quo. We're sort of stuck in this vexatious state of inertia where we're just comfortable, right?
Okay.
Personally, I believe, but, you know.
All right, let's ask the audience at large. Are we stuck in a state of inertia? Does it? No?
No?
Come forward, look, there's a seat over there.
I have a lot of questions about this.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm from America. My name is Samantha. And I just wanted to respond to the whole idea of apathy. So what's going on right now is Bernie Sanders' campaign, and I'm involved. There's a group called Bernie Sanders Dank Meme Stash, and that you can see with the Bernie Sanders movement that there is a complete lack of apathy. People are impassioned, people are ready to make a change. The young people are standing behind this guy, and it irritates me so much when people who, I'm sorry, you look a little older than I do. How old are you? Sorry.
31.
Okay, I'm 21, so like considerable age difference. I'm just saying, I think I get really irritated when I hear people from people 10 years, 20 years above me.
British people more?
No, it's not British people. It's not. I see this with Americans as well, but I don't think, I think you guys like to use us as an excuse for essentially.
We were doing it earlier on.
No, yeah, I think it's ridiculous that people like to blame our generation for being apathetic.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
You agree with that?
Yeah, so true. I find that people always want to condemn the youth, and I think when you do that, it kind of just makes young people think, well, what's the point then? No one believes in me. No one thinks that I'm gonna have any opinions or do anything anyway. And I think even adults as well are apathetic and don't want to really, are not motivated to do things either. So.
Hang a sec.
I was going to say, I agree with you. I think it's quite different between countries, though, because coming from England at the moment, where we're getting totally rogered in the arse by the Tories on a daily basis, and everyone's pretty upset about it. But I can't think of one moment since the Tories that have come into power that anyone's actually really done that much to stop them.
So you think they're apathetic even though they feel bad about it?
Yeah,
Okay. All right, you were going to say...
No, I absolutely agree with you, and I mean, I'm not very political myself, but in Ireland, June, July, whatever it was, gay marriage, that was completely run from young people. That campaign was run from the 20 to 30-year-old group, essentially. Right. And I mean, obviously there were older people involved and different groups involved, but that was the reason that got passed in Ireland was because young people went home from Australia, Saudi, Dubai, just to vote in that election, or in that referendum, and absolutely, I think when people believe in a cause like they're doing in Bernie Sanders,
so
they do care, and it's just there are so many causes out there. I guess the problem is that you can't get involved in them all.
So it's in a way it's that kind of noise, and you don't see it. Gordon will come to you in a second, Cara.
I don't think it's true that young people are apathetic because Bernie Sanders, as you said, he's got most support among young people. Jeremy Corbyn has got more young supporters than other ages, and it's young people who organised demonstrations against the cut to NHS bursaries and things that will affect them, they care about, but they're just worried that centrist politicians won't listen to them, and then maybe as people get older they come to accept that they won't be listened to, which is why maybe younger people tend to vote more extreme.
Okay, so young people are not apathetic. Gordon, what were you going to say?
I think in Hong Kong, the young people is also more have awareness in politics as well.
Yeah.
Especially since recent years, the Hong Kong government is tend to be sliding more and more to the Communist Party stance.
Yeah.
Especially like many large infrastructure projects, the bridges and the tunnels, and also the high-speed train.
Yeah.
When they built so many of these engineering projects, they lag behind in many areas like education and also health and like expanding hospitals. There are a severe lack of hospital equipment.
Young people that are campaigning
and young people are campaigning against the older generation, because the older generation is in Hong Kong especially is just working, earning money, try to buy a house and pay for the mortgage.
So older people are just too busy working, basically, and they're not that. So it's the exact opposite. Are young people apathetic? Is it just a noise that they're into so many different
I was
causes?
thinking young people is trying to make a chaos.
Okay, what are you going to say?
I mean, I think you can't measure the kind of standards of apathy or protest or that kind of thing by the standards of the generations who control that discourse. I mean, you're talking about, are young people apathetic? Look at groups like Occupy, Anonymous, who kind of redefine what you can consider. I mean, you're not going to get people protesting in the streets because that's been shown to not work. I mean, that kind of that kind of activity is almost kind of reinforcing that kind of power structure, because I've been to a few protests, and it's a case of you turn up in your little police given area, make lots of noise, wave banners about, and then go home. That's not actually achieving anything. So, really?
Okay.
If I may express my opinion, I think protests like art and any form of counterculture, going back to the conversation we had before, is basically just raising awareness of a problem that lies in society or wherever that is, which means protests is the most blatant example of how you can literally protest against something, even if you didn't achieve anything. Just the fact that you protest against it is basically just asking for it not to happen or for it to change, which is the whole point of it.
I think haven't got his name yet, but this idea is that maybe just going out, what's your name?
Ben.
Ben is kind of saying, well, maybe just standing on the street, waving a banner is a little bit kind of old school, and there's more effective ways to kind of protest and to make the case.
There's so many ways of protesting. You can be dissident in so many very ways, but it doesn't matter however way you do it. There's always going to be a layer of resistance that you encounter when you do something that pushes boundaries. And protest, maybe they're not pushing boundaries anymore, but as a concept, but what they stand for individually, each protest has a message that is being heard just by being reported. So it doesn't matter if the protest itself has been answered, if that makes sense.
Which is exactly the point. The idea of a protest is like an autocratic way of acknowledging that they've listened to the public. But I mean, it doesn't mean anything. It's the protest game. It's like the Vietnam protest didn't actually mean anything. Do you know what I mean? They didn't mean anything. What do you mean? Well, for instance, Ken Kesey, the writer of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, was invited, God knows who invited him, because he was very much anti-protest, invited him to speak at the Vietnam protest. And he just made the whole place a bummer. He just started blowing a whistle. It's like, I could say anything right now and you'd probably get riled up. And obviously they didn't.
So you don't really think
it doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't work?
It does. When has it ever worked? Radicalism.
I want to respond to that. I've been to multiple protests. The biggest one I was at in America was Keystone Pipeline. I don't know if you heard about that. It was basically the scientist James Hansen, who was a scientist for NASA, basically said this pipeline, if this happens, is going to be game over for the climate. And I went to a protest, largely youth-led, actually almost entirely youth-led, and it was a huge, huge action, and I think a couple months later, because of that, the strength of that action and the strength in numbers, Obama did not approve the Keystone Pipeline when it looked like he was going to. I've seen active traditional protest work. I think you guys aren't giving it enough credit.
Okay, so you think it does work, it can work, Ben?
I think it depends on the goal of the protest, because I'm doing my doctorate on protest and that kind of thing. But that doesn't,
an expert.
That doesn't really matter. No. But anyway, it's
Anyway.
things like anti-austerity protests are protesting without a goal. I mean, the example you give, there was a clear direction, there was a clear end game.
Ban the pipeline. Yeah.
I guess I don't think I understand what you mean by protesting without a goal.
You were talking about anti-austerity, which is like, in a way, it's protesting against an idea, which is the notion of austerity.
I mean, it's what Nietzsche calls resentment, this idea of you're creating... well, it's a French term, resentment. I can't remember how to pronounce it.
Sounds a bit like resentment.
But it's the idea that you create your political identity by defining the other, defining what you're not, rather than having an actual mandate. So, for example, that example you gave, that had an end game, that had a goal that wasn't just defining itself by what it's not. That there was a clear objective.
It was banning the pipeline, that's the job done.
Rather than just, we don't like this thing and we're going to make a noise about it. I mean, protests, come back to your original point, I think protest works. I mean, because in this country, certainly you have to kind of almost sort of pre-book your protest with the police, in a way. I mean, that is what is essentialising this very structure you're protesting against by obeying the system. So sure, the best kind of protests are the ones where you just turn up, flying pickets, cause a mess.
A protest should be spontaneous, in a way.
Yeah, so protest as it exists today is not, I argue, not very effective because it's conforming to the very structures that it's trying to work against.
I think you have to...
What was that one? I missed that one. Oh, different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Saying that a protest should be booked beforehand because in Hong Kong a protest needs to be booked too. So that one of the reason the police fight harder against the protesters is that they didn't book the protest.
Okay.
And then some, just like recently there was a Mongkok riot or protest, like how you define it. Basically, is people say that they want to protect the food stalls during the Chinese New Year, but then this year the the regulation and the police, they are enforcing the law rigidly instead of according to the Chinese custom to let them go for those 3 days. But then that protest became a riot and people just threw bricks. I don't think some of them actually care about the food stalls or the people's lives. They're just wanting a way to vent their anger against the government or against the police.
Okay, so it's a more sort of generic anti-protest that what you're talking about. There's what people want, but it's maybe less effective as well. Cara?
I think you have to merge your anti-establishment feelings with working within the system we've got. Protest is often seen as idealistic, and that's why loads of people don't go because they think, oh, me going up, turning up won't make any difference. But if you do that and you vote, like the levels of youth turnout is so upsetting, but if all those people voted, then it would change things, and you have to some extent work within the system. And also kind of going into the young people's involvement in the internet and things like that. Our generation are so much more globally aware, maybe, than older generations, because we know what's going on across the world with YouTube and all these things, and we have, Facebook friends from America and everywhere, that the world is becoming more global, and if we're going to fight things that young people care about, like climate change and people having tax havens in this country but selling things in that country, then our generation being more globally aware and working within the system, becoming politicians, maybe making more global laws, could make real change.
Okay, so the possibility for change is there. Inside the system and outside the system, this seems to be the thing, like, should we be booking them protests, phoning up the police, asking for a slot, or should it just happen a bit more spontaneously? How does this fit in with our counterculture discussion we're having a bit earlier on? Jonathan?
I think the idea of, being inside the system to change the system clearly doesn't really work. I mean, the system's set up so that can't happen. When you think about Jeremy Corbyn, he's clearly not going to get very far. He's going to be riled by the media. He's going to be...
You don't think Jeremy Corbyn will get very far?
No, of course not. I'd like him to, but he won't. This is the way the system's set up. I mean, people laugh like cackling schoolboys in the Houses of Commons at him. I mean, that's just... It's just the way it's set up.
Okay, do people agree with this? Do you think they have a belief in Jeremy Corbyn, anyone? Or do they agree? Well, it's kind of, all fits in.
Okay, well, I think I'm probably one of the oldest people here, and I really believe that you've got to protest, you've got to get into the system. I joined the Labour Party because of what Corbyn's been doing, and I go to the local meetings, and most people are of my generation. I'm not seeing young people there. You've got to get in the system. I became a teacher because I wanted to change the system. I got in, I was a teacher, and I changed a lot of things.
What did you change?
The way that people were perceiving education, how parents were reacting, how we got the pupils involved in their own education. Lots of things were changing, but my main thing now is that protesting does work, but not totally. I protest, I use Facebook, I use Twitter, and I use my art to change things.
So you've got lots of different ways of actually changing things.
There's not one system.
There's not one way of doing it.
No, not one way.
But definitely get inside the system to change the system. Seems like everyone wants to change it. Everyone here want to change the system, or are you happy with the system as it is? Yeah.
Working.
Oh no, there we go. So I pulled the plug out. Sorry.
It's quite a crispy sound, I have to say. The point is making your voice heard. Most people, like going back to the apathy argument they had earlier. I think it's perceived apathy rather than apathy itself, because people don't make their ideas heard enough, whether that's online or through art or through protest. Whereas if everyone protested about something and everyone made art about something, there'd be more of a common knowledge about where the general opinion is going and that you're not alone basically in your beliefs.
I mean, is it someone earlier on said that different people are sort of campaigning, protesting about so many different things that it all just becomes noise, and it sounds like apathy because there's so many different things. There's a pipeline here. There's a, there's climate change.
Would you rather not hear about pipelines and climate change and hear about?
I mean, that's not. To be honest, it's not my idea, but that's just the idea that's out there. That maybe it's just there's a multiplicity of different demands for change. That in the end, from a distance, gets seen as apathy.
I think, obviously, there's always something that pushes the boundaries further and that's going to stick out of the crowd. Obviously, you have the more controversial arguments that are always going to be heard the most and are going to make the most noise. But you just have to make yourself heard.
Make yourself heard, be loud.
You have to be loud and you have to make noise and you have to value your own opinions, whatever they might be, even if you're a Nazi. Obviously, that's an extreme case, but if you believe in your ideas, you have to be heard, I think. That's my belief.
I think the thing is that more and more, that we're living in a world that's more and more in some sort of shade of grey. There's not really a black or white anymore. It's all some variation of grey. And which also kind of makes it more difficult to take a definite stand on something, because while I might, support this, I'd only support it under these circumstances because I disagree with this, or I don't agree with that except from this case. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but it's just, when we get, again, the apathy thing, I don't think it is that people are apathetic. I think it's just that we're more aware.
It's a bit more nuanced.
Yeah, but also we're more, because we're more global and we have more, awareness of what's going on across the world. There's more to consider when you're making a decision, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's just a reason why people maybe are more moderate or maybe won't take a definite stand on something when in the past maybe they would have.
Right, okay, so it's all shades of grey at the moment. There's so many. Were you going to say something, Ben? No? Okay. Let me get your name. What's your name?
I'm Bob, sorry. Bob. It's all shades of grey, but unfortunately quite soon we're going to have to vote one way or the other to leave or to stay in the EU. And I find this such a difficult thing to do. Because one day I'm thinking leave, the next day I'm out. How do we vote on something like this when it is shades of grey?
Okay. Interesting point. You were about to go, Ben. Final thought?
It's interesting that sort of a tidbit of trivia talking about shades of grey and worldwide apathy. There's a concept called Dunbar's number, which was the idea that it is impossible for a human being to care about people on an individual level above a certain number. So
what is the number?
I can't remember what the number is, but I mean, it's kind of the reason why, when you hear about some disaster in the world where you have if you have no one that you know or is involved there, that's why you can,
Just
deal with that information, not just like break down because it doesn't personally affect you. I mean, combine that with what we were talking earlier about social media and was it slacktivism or whatever, the idea of you can click like on a thing and that's somehow making a difference.
Clicktivism, isn't it?
There are all kinds of hideous portmanteaus you can use to describe it. So yeah, I just thought I'd leave that little bit of a nugget and then I will disappear. Cool.
Okay, so we don't know what Dunbar's number is. We know there is a number above which we can't care about those people anymore. Says Ben. Okay, well, we're going to take this discussion. We've got some free seats at the table. Maybe we need to have a different dimension, a different direction, a fresh blood. Come and sit down. Come and get involved in this. Give us a final thought, Gordon.
And I think everyone should voice out their opinion, even though it may be controversial. They shouldn't be afraid to say about their own voice.
Don't be afraid of controversialising people. Have we heard controversialising opinions here? We've got some new faces around the table. Let's just quickly get some names. I'm going to go to Margot. What's her name?
Donal.
And?
Kata.
Lena.
Elam.
Jonathan.
Rory. Jonathan.
Mike.
And?
Shifra.
And?
Margot.
And my name's Mikey. So, Margot, you were going to say something?
I was just going to say, before Gordon left, like he said, even if your opinion is so controversial, you should not be afraid to say it. What if your opinion is so not controversial?
Yeah.
What do you do then? Because I feel like sometimes...
Yeah, like sort of bland-troversial.
Like sort of, bland-troversial.
Yeah.
It's like, there's so many kind of passionate people around this table that it makes me feel like really ashamed that I don't have a passionate cause that I fight for. I just sometimes look at at Facebook, I look at the news on Facebook and it may be happening on the street just next to me, but literally it's just a picture on my mobile phone. I'll turn it off and I just carry on in my in my train of thought.
So your
this is not real
controversial statement
news.
is that
I have no controversial statement.
To make,
like,
okay.
how do you move on? Because I feel like you have to be someone. You have to stand for something. You have to make a strong stance for the values that you believe in. But what if you just literally can't? What if you're really paralysed by not being able to do that?
Okay, interesting point. Anyone else feel like they're not controversial enough? Maybe.
Somewhat.
Okay, you maybe agree with that, yeah. And anything from the new people around the table?
Yeah, I don't think you have to be controversial. I think if there's nothing that you absolutely don't 100% believe on, you don't have to go out and protest just for the sake of protest. And I think there will be times when certain issues will come up that'll strike a chord, and then you have to have the right mentality to be like, well, this is my issue, and I'm going to go out.
Have you got an issue? Sorry, what's your name again?
Donal. Donal, Irish name.
Donal.
Perfect.
Got it. Eventually, yeah.
Yeah. I suppose I'd be passionate. I think Irish people are more passionate on the EU, and I'm surprised. I'm continuously surprised. I think about how close it's going to be.
Okay, so you're surprised that?
I'd be very strongly that the EU is definitely for the best of the UK anyway.
I mean, it was brought up just recently. Maybe we should go down this avenue, seeing as it is in the news and everything. But British people not that passionate about it. I mean, Bob was saying, it's the shades of grey. He's gone now.
I think I have a bit of a unique way, because not unique, but looking in from as an immigrant from Ireland here 2.5 years. In Ireland, we can clearly see how the EU has been brilliant for our country. We've come from nowhere to being sort of Celtic Tiger. Then we went down a bit, but we're back, and we've got amazing investment and things through the EU.
Okay.
It's just so surprising to see people in England just to say, it's done nothing for us. We'd be better off without it. And it just, to me anyway, it seems like there's people living completely in the 18th, 19th century and just thinking that it's back to the Empire days if they leave.
Well, funnily enough, we are in the Europe gallery 1600 to 1900, so that kind of makes sense. Any views on this EU? Yeah.
Well, you can't say that British are not passionate, because they are. They are showing their passion by wanting to leave.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that want to leave, and for good reason.
Yeah.
Because they
What's
don't.
the good reason?
They feel that their laws and their freedom of choice is taken over by bureaucrats.
Right.
By Brussels. They see Brussels as this big brother, that is taking over everything, and not really in a good way.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are feeling that the way EU started in the beginning, it was, it was like a bit like Eurovision. Okay, that's a funny example, but Eurovision was all this exciting thing, uniting us all, and it slowly tinkered to like this cheesy. Even Italy, they won in like 60s or something, didn't they? Yeah, they did. There was this song about clouds or something.
Yeah.
Like,
anyway, let's not get down into detail.
So we felt like in the beginning it was all this exciting, uniting thing, and now it's like trickled down to some cheesy, crappy, Russia, brings some like starlet from nowhere, and everybody's voting for her for no good reason, while other countries are singing about war and things, and then nobody votes for them. So it's like it becomes like this. Really, what are we all about? I think that's the reason why.
Do you think Eurovision's gone stale as well as the European Union?
Maybe a little.
Okay,
it's not the same as it used to be.
Were doing it, obviously.
That was the only good point of Eurovision, like ever.
Okay, so I mean, you think that the British people have got a right to be slightly bored, slightly jaded by Europe because it's all about bureaucracy now. Sizes of cheeses and stuff.
It's democracy. It's like I think that what people feel is that they can't choose their own laws. They can't govern their own country, and I think it's a strong thing. It touches to everybody. Say I'm from a small country.
Yeah. Where are you from?
Lithuania.
And we needed you earlier on, actually.
You did?
Yeah, we're having a discussion about Baltic. Oh no, that was Latvia. Sorry, my mistake. Oops.
Never mind.
Never mind. Yeah. Apparently in Latvia, they had a singing revolution or something like that.
They did in Lithuania as well.
Oh, in Lithuania?
We were united in that together.
Okay. Oh, good.
They just came at us with tanks, and we had candles to protect us. That's all.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So we felt like our country felt like, oh, we had so many great things, but we are all unhappy about all, them taking over our laws, our rights. Everything is coming from all the decisions. It seems like you can't really make your own law anymore, and it's really, it's strong. So sovereignty is a strong thing.
Okay, so Britain's got. We've got some spare seats here. What do you think about this? Are you from Britain? Have you got a view on this? Would you like Britain to stay in the EU? Would you like it to leave? Is it, as Donald says, an amazing, wondrous thing that just gives energy and unitedness through Europe, or is it just taking away our laws and our ability of self-determination? Jonathan?
I think it's interesting to think about the EU and the way that it started. I mean, as a rough kind of... I mean, it was around the same time, obviously, at the end of World War II, or a couple of years after, blah, blah, blah. And I think it's quite arrogant to think that, yeah, it can be a bad thing. There could be this autocratic state ruling everyone, but at the same time, an autocratic state together is better than 50 different broken up autocratic states.
Yeah.
And also, it's interesting to think about the sentiment in which people, and the reasons which people want to leave the EU, kind of harks back to Germany, Nazi era.
Yeah.
It's this idea of, no, we're the best. We don't want all of you guys. We're going to make it on our own.
Yeah.
That's a stupid idea.
Okay. All right. So we're talking about Britain leaving the EU. What do people think? Is it better to have a large, big autocracy, a big evil empire, than lots of small little evil empires? That's how Jonathan sees it.
I want to stay in the EU because I don't trust our government to do anything good without the EU. Like, there might not be that much, like, the EU might not be the most amazing thing in the world, but it's probably better than our government being able to do whatever they want, because they've already done quite a lot of bad things.
Okay, so you trust them more maybe than the
yeah,
British
it's
government.
like the lesser of two evils.
Okay.
Really.
I mean, I was just going to say, I mean, I don't really know much about, I'm probably going to vote to stay in, even though I don't really know anything about it, to be honest. But people seem to just want to close the borders, really. I always just hear people just panicking about, we need to close the borders, so we need to get out the EU, I mean.
Yeah. And what do you think about closing borders?
Well, I think open borders have been all right so far. So, I mean, I don't think they should be closed. I mean, I think people should be allowed to come here, really. I don't think there's too many people around.
From within and outside of the EU?
And so
both from inside and outside of the European Union?
Yeah, both within and outside. Yeah, people should be able to travel where they
More
want to.
open borders. Let more people come if they want, should they want to come, and more people leave, in fact, as well, I suppose.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think it's about identity is at the heart of it. I think people feel that they're kind of losing their identity or losing their place or trying to understand where they belong, and I think that that's kind of where people get torn.
Yeah.
You know, can people identify themselves with Europe? Yeah. Like I remember at school, my Spanish teacher kind of hating that I didn't know this Spanish poet or this particular writer. And she was like, "You're so from Britain, I can't believe you don't know this Spanish writer." And I think, you know, we are separate, you know, we're an island. And I think there is this kind of issue with identity and knowing where you belong.
Identity-wise?
I don't know, I just think I understand why people need to hold on to that. It's almost like with tradition, they need to hold on to tradition because it's kind of part of them and their makeup.
Right.
And that's important to some and it's not to others. And I think that's why
people
it's very
feel
complicated.
Like they're losing that a little bit in the European Union.
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe they want to regain it in some way.
All right, so as far as you're concerned, it's about identity. Come and join in. We're talking about the European Union, in or out. Is it about identity? Is it about one bureaucracy or autocracy or whatever ocracy against another? Come and sit down on the orange seats. You don't have to say anything if you don't want to. Jonathan's not said that much to me anyway. So you don't have to say that much if you don't want to. What do people think about this? Different views here.
Okay.
Have you got a view?
Yeah. Well, I mean, just from a purely economic perspective, leaving the EU could have potential. I'm going to say fatal is the wrong word, but from very big economic repercussions for Britain. Currently, there's something like 25% of the UK economy comes from London, not like from London City.
Right.
If Britain leaves the EU, the banks have all come out, a lot of the banks, international banks have come out saying that they're going to hop over to Ireland because Ireland's still in the EU. They all speak English. They all have there is a very well-educated population over there. They don't have to stay in Britain if Britain changed the rules. And you know what, the thing is, a lot of people who work in the city, like we're both from Ireland, and we had a ton of people here who are not from England. If the banks or the employers go to Ireland, people are going to follow because why wouldn't they? Because that's what we came here for work. We'll go where the work is.
Is it just about money? You know, is it like for example, I split up with my girlfriend, and that was a very economically costly decision. But I still did it because it was more about identity than the money. Is it all about money, really? I mean, what's your name again, sorry?
Kata.
Kata is saying that it's all about, identity, where you sort of belong, what you think is right for you.
I mean, I'm interested to know, like, so what is the British identity then? I mean, why are Brits afraid to sort of lose their identity? I think it's quite strong. I think it's quite clear what is British. I mean, I don't really understand why they'd be afraid
to lose that.
Not at all. I mean, I think it's quite obvious what British is, you know? I mean, we're at the V&A, I mean, wow, it's surrounded by British history, so what's there to be afraid of?
Okay.
You know?
All right, okay. We've got any face to say, what's your name?
Stephen.
Stephen, you got a point that you want to make now? Or you don't have to make
I think probably one of the problems is that for reasons I don't always understand, is that the British English people don't feel European in the same way that the Europeans who are living in mainland Europe. Obviously we're in Ireland, so therefore that's the difference.
But
that is a problem. I know, but
I think it goes back to your Empire days.
it probably does. You know, Ireland took the euro, so that connects them more to the rest of Europe, whereas we haven't. What was I wanting to say? I think there probably is some people are apathetic and don't vote or etc., and that worries me with this particular important vote. People need to get out and vote, but they need to vote yes. They need to vote yes to stay in.
You think the more passionate people that are against it are kind of the louder
It's very
voice
important. It's a very important vote, and people need to go out to vote. for this particular, they should go out and vote for governments in elections anyway, to have their say. But we need a cross-section of society voting in the European referendum.
Yeah.
If the vote was tomorrow, I'd vote to stay in.
Yeah.
One reason, I do think a big part of Europe is good. I agree with what my Irish friend was saying there. Sorry.
Yeah.
There are problems with it, but I think I'm with those who say it's better to stay in, because then we can actually be in to help reform
Okay,
it.
so in a way, it goes back to this kind of inside the system, outside
What worries
the
me
system thing.
with the current campaign is that at the moment, there's only been a few days since they've all been able to talk more about it. But those who are wanting to, those who are in the Brexit group, they haven't said enough and explained enough about what it will look like if we were to be out.
So what's Britain going to do?
Not enough. At the moment, there's not enough information for me to vote no. For the right reasons.
Okay.
I say no to vote to stay out.
What is Britain going to do out there on its own? Is it something that we're playing? Come on, get involved. Come and have a seat on the table of chat. The both of you there. Come on. Have you got a view on this? Do you care about Europe, whether in or out?
We should all care.
You do. You do care about it. Are you an innie or an outie? I'm not talking about your belly button. You don't know enough, so it's a bit like Stephen. You need to know a bit more information about what is Britain, what is a non-European Britain, what does it look like?
Yes, and information, but not just crappy headlines in the newspapers, you know, where they say, oh, you know, the way they're made these days, you're not sure what it actually says. You know, is it about shoes or is it about, you know, whatever? Like the whole headline is made of like number of random things. Sometimes it feels that way. So, of course, just think about it. So, okay, so if Britain leaves, maybe what do the European citizens do? Do they have to go back? Do they, you know, British who live in Spain and other countries, what do they do? Do they have to get visas? How does that even work? So, I mean, it does affect like every single person. It's not only like the lawmaking and human rights where you can't deport somebody because according to the Hague Convention, he will be tortured in his country, so we have to keep a terrorist in here. So all these big issues that upset Nigel Farage and everybody. By the way, Nigel Farage has been getting money from European Union. He was getting finance from there. So that was really peculiar, you know. So all these people that say things out loud in public, they live a different life.
Okay.
So, and then they don't give you, there's a lot of populistic crap, but not enough real information.
Okay, so what happens to all those Europeans, Britain outside of Europe? Can you not do that with my... Thank you. Is a hellhole, I heard over here?
Yeah.
You think it'd be a hellhole? Why?
I just don't trust our government past any point of anything to do anything good at all. Either sides of the government. So I mean, if you can keep a leash on a dog that's going to eat someone, at least it'll only bite their arm.
Okay, so that's how you feel the British government is leashed. Okay, not much trust there.
The Tories are probably worse than a dog, though. A violent snail, maybe.
Okay, it's like a very, very slow but dangerous dog. Well, at the moment, this is Talkaoke, the Free From Talk Show. At the moment, we're talking about, I'm not looking at the bus, I'm looking at you. We are talking about this very important decision, but is it important? Are people passionate about it? Leave Europe, in or out? I have to say, I think since we were talking about protests and changing the system, when we started talking about Europe, everyone's actually leaving. So they're voting with their feet to leave the conversation about Europe. And I think they're joining this. Are you going to get involved in this? But
maybe they said enough. They had a discussion. They're moving on to other interesting things in the evening.
There are other things going on in.
They contributed already. They want to give a chance to everybody else. No,
that is true. That is true. That's one way of looking at it. Thank you. Okay, so where are we going to take this discussion to people? Is it important? You said, of course, it's important. Do you think it's important?
The EU, Brexit?
Yeah.
Of course it's important. I think
For me, it's a question of sovereignty, and we still have these. I think it's really crazy that we have a world that's so integrated in so many ways, in terms of ideas, in terms of technology, in terms of movement. It's so quick for us to move, but at the same time, we're still operating on all these very traditional systems and archaic views of seeing the world. Like the nation state is an idea. A group of people sat down and said, this is how we're going to divide geographical terrain. It's so bizarre. And now we're at this kind of crossroads where these systems no longer depict accurately what the world is showing. And so you have these, this idea that if we maintain our sovereignty and we leave the EU, we're going to suddenly stop issues of migration and refugees and terrorism and austerity and economic insecurity, when no, because that's not what's actually influencing these issues. It's global now. It's a different terrain altogether.
I mean, from what you're saying, do you sort of believe in a way, a kind of global government, that's the way we're going towards, that it's all, you're talking about this connectivity and we're connected with the whole world?
In my ideal kind of hippie-like state, which I love, I don't think any sort of hierarchy is good for society. I think
so it'd be an anarchistic global
No, because then that's just a reaction to the hierarchy. I think we just have to try and rethink different models of existing, and
So actually we need a new model of nation states and how countries are run and stuff like that.
I thought you put that so succinctly, but I disagree with just your last bit, that when you're saying, everything's moving more global, it's sort of intranational. There's organizations now that are bigger than some countries, more power, more some companies even sort of look at FIFA, how powerful it can be.
Even the V&A's opening a branch in East London, so they're
wow, look at that. But I think my solution to it wouldn't be in the same way as yours. It would be to give up some sovereignty to a centralized, let's say, EU power that would look after some of the bigger issues. Like there's some problems that a national government can't look after itself, like climate change, like terrorism, like massive migration, like through Syria. So if we give up some of both our funds that come through tax to an EU and some of the decision-making power that they can achieve bigger and better things. But then on the back of that, there should be a devolution of power from the EU to the nation states to look after the problems that arise in that nation. So Italians know the best way to look after Italian people, and a lot of the smaller, let's say, less important laws and rules and court cases should be devolved further into the local government.
So there basically needs to be a bit of a rethink of... They don't want to, did you want to say something? You just come to the table? Or you just think? Okay, tell us your name anyway.
I'm Jordan. I'm actually from New York, so I have a little, different perspective.
Okay, well that's the great thing about here is we got people from all around the world, and it's good to have these different perspectives. So we've got Jordan, Stephen, what's your name?
Sophie.
And
Marion.
And
Donald.
Kata.
Lina.
Elam.
Tiberius,
welcome.
Rory.
And Jonathan, and my name is Mikey, and and basically we're talking, I guess it's mostly around, I quite like your perspective of like moving forward. How do we actually move forward? What's kind of like, if we are thinking about connectedness, even beyond the EU. But anyway, you were going to say something, Jordan.
That's a cool shirt.
Oh, thank you.
Can I was just saying, similarly, I love the way that you put things, and I think, like you said, it's about going back to the archaic models within our society that are no longer working and functioning. So it's almost, you have to go right back to the grassroots I think for me, like particularly education, you know, the whole education model. Are young people through the current education system able to make informed decisions about their future and about society and about politics? So I think if you have to go right back and kind of strip it all away again.
So you think actually there's quite a few things that need to go back into the museum, maybe into the V&A. We could put our current education system into the museum.
And let people decide how it should be changed and how it would be better and how, as a result, things could improve. And
okay. Well, you're let's get the final thought, Jonathan.
I think it's quite interesting we're having a conversation on British identity in a building built to showcase British imperialism power, and I just do wonder sometimes who got paid to clean the blood off these beautiful ornaments around us. Thank you.
Okay, controversial. Okay, so where are we going to go with this? We want to talk about the blood on the ornaments. We want to talk about new institutions, putting the old institutions in the museum, maybe even the institution of the museum within another museum.
Where is the V&A going to be in East London then? What part of East London will it be?
I believe it's going to be in the Olympic Park.
Oh, right, okay.
Next to West Ham United.